What's up, guys? Today is a beautiful day, and I'm not talking about the wonderful 36-degree weather here in Minnesota. Today is a beautiful day because after 4 years, 10 months, and 29 days or so, I have finally cured wheel hop on my 2012 Mustang GT, and it is wonderful. As long as we got the wheels off, let's talk about what we've done back here to try and reduce wheel hop. So the first thing I did was I installed the BMR control arms. That didn't do much to cure the wheel hop. Now, after that, I installed the stock control arms again, but went with a Roush upper because I didn't like how much noise these transmitted into the cabin. And again, I found myself with a lot of wheel hop and some strange squeaking from the Roush upper control arm. The next thing I did is I bought some Ford Racing control arms. Now, if you look at all the websites that sell these, well, American Muscle and Late Model Restoration, they actually claim on there that the control arms come stock on a 6-speed manual 2011 to 2014 GT, which they don't. There's a significant difference between the Ford Racing control arms and the ones that come on the car stock. And the Ford Racing control arms didn't so much reduce the wheel hop as the weights on there sort of dampened out how much of the wheel hop was transmitted into the cabin. So the car would still wheel hop, but it was kind of nice that it was all contained in the axle. You didn't get as much of it in the cabin. So right now, I'd say we're at about a 85–90% solution with the Boss 302 shocks, the BMR lower control arms, the Roush upper control arm, and then we got some BMR lowering springs, which leveled the ride height of the car pretty nicely. So before it had a pretty significant rake, as you can see, and now the car sits pretty level. The front wheels are both at about rim to fender gap is about 5.5 inches. At the rear, it's 5.25 on one side and 5.75 on the other side. We're gonna figure out why that is one of these days. But for right now, the car looks pretty level. I'm pretty happy with it. So why I say it's only like an 85–90% solution is that the car still will wheel hop if you try and just carry that, like just the verge of wheel slip in the back, like you're trying for maximum acceleration essentially in really low grip conditions, right? So standing water, we're gonna try out this weekend with our new Blizzaks. We're gonna try out some snow driving. The first thing you notice about the BMR lowering springs is that your rear visibility is significantly better. That was one of my least favorite parts about this car, right behind probably the OEM brakes, is that you can't see out the back because the car sits with a rake. And it was even worse with the Boss 302 suspension because that dropped both the front and rear, but it dropped the front more. So when you're looking in the rearview mirror, you're just looking up and back, and you can't see anything behind you, especially on track. With the amount of nosedive this thing has, I mean, you would lose a semi-truck in your rearview mirror when you get hard on the brakes with grip. The second thing I discovered with the BMR lowering springs, and probably the worst, is that we've got reduced load capacity. So the Boss 302 springs that I had on the car previously were 17% stiffer than stock, and then the BMR springs are another 15% stiffer than stock. So we've got a total there, if I'm doing my math right, about 32% stiffer than the stock springs. What that means is that the car rides terribly. And by lowering the rear, you lose a lot of suspension travel. If you then load up 500 pounds worth of Christmas gifts, dog food, and dog, then you end up with less than 2 inches of suspension travel in the back, which means you spend most of your time riding on the bump stops, which is very uncomfortable. So when I get home, or maybe even here if the weather gets warm enough, I'll try cutting the bump stops from their stock height to give it a little more suspension travel. The BMR springs kind of contradict everything that I've learned about suspension tuning in my years of setting up race cars now. And they're significantly stiffer, and they slightly inverted the rear control arm. So I thought that, much like Adam experienced with his Boss 302 when he slammed it, the car was going to feel like the rear end was too soft and it was also going to lose some grip. But the opposite is true. The car has significantly more rear grip, both in the dry and in the wet. And in the snow, I've only driven it with the BMR control arms and the Blizzak, so I can't really make a comparison to all seasons that I ran in the snow previously. But the car has unbelievable grip in the snow. Like, it just goes. So finally, what we've got is what I thought the Mustang was when I first bought it, which is the perfect winter driving companion for hooning and just having fun in the snow. Except for two things. One, the Blizzak tires. They actually provide a little too much go in the snow. It'd be better if they actually slipped a little bit more so that you could drift the car and have a little bit more fun with it. They provide a little too much acceleration, if that's a thing. And two, Ford lies to you. They claim that you can hold down the traction control button and the brake at a stop for 7 seconds and it turns off traction control. Now, that's kind of a pain in the ass, but what's even more of a pain in the ass is that it doesn't actually turn off traction control. Ford lied. So if you want to see what actually happens and how you can actually turn off the traction control, plus a review of the Blizzaks, subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.